From Coombe Hill, welcome to the GCN Show!
From Canada's capital, Ottawa, Ontario, welcome to the GCN Show.
Welcome to the GCN Show.
Welcome to the GCN Show.
Yep, coming up this week, the disc brake topic heats up once again. We've got more race roundups than you can shake a stick at, and it's been a rather chaotic week at British cycling.
It has. Now we've got some hacks and bodges that are continuing to astound us, both good and bad. We've got some tech that may make you a better rider, plus we've got all of our usuals as well.
Caption competition time now. Last week's photo was this one of a rider that we still don't know who it was, fairly wrapped up at Liège-Bastogne-Liège.
The winner of the caption competition is Ben Packer, who said, "Lasty goes to extreme lengths to ensure that no one can laugh at his climbing face this time." That is good caption.
Is that actually true, or was that the caption? I thought it was the top.
It's not Lasty, no.
Yeah.
But you can see his climbing face.
Well done, Ben. Get in touch with us. We should send you out some swag in the post.
A bobble hat.
Is that what it is these days?
I believe it is.
Right, this week's photo is this one from the Tour Romandy of Chris Froome. I shall get you started. With this position, I'll be sprinting like Caleb Ewan in no time.
Well, that's average at best. No, never mind. If you can do better, and you probably can, make sure you let us know in the comment section down below to be in with a chance of winning a GCN bobblehead. Disc brakes on road bikes is becoming an even hotter topic than we could ever have imagined when we conducted our legendary chorizo sausage experiment last year.
Admittedly, that's not severed, but I suppose that would be a nasty cut.
Ooh. An experiment which didn't quite capture the imagination of the wider cycling community like we had hoped for.
No, strange that,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, I'm glad we used the chorizo, because we were going to use our finger, weren't we, to prove it?
Anyway, hot on the heels of the UCI banning disc brakes in competition comes the news that the Spanish and French federations have also banned them. Now, you might be wondering why this might be relevant to you. Well, the reason is that this doesn't just include competition, but any mass start event. So it also includes the likes of Grand Fondos and Sportives as well.
Yeah, which could be very bad news if you've just bought a road bike with disc brakes. Now, let it be said, we don't have an agenda here. We don't really care what brakes you use. You could use disc brakes or caliper brakes or cantilever brakes, even hub brakes. But what is very frustrating is the lack of facts in this particular debate.
Yeah, and actually this is where USA Cycling deserves some credit. So
Yeah,
we
they
had
do.
an email conversation last week with the technical director there, Chuck Hodge, and this is what he had to say. As you may know, USA Cycling has always allowed
Can you do it
disc
in an American
brakes.
accent?
No, in road competition for the events that we sanction. We're currently reviewing the safety aspects around discs, but did not decide to institute a ban without conducting research. We are aware that the facts that discs may bring increased braking safety, and the fact that many of our members have purchased equipment that is disc brake equipped under our existing regulations. The key for us is to weigh the benefits of discs in light of any incremental increase in risk. While doing so, we do not feel that a ban was prudent.
No. So what's really interesting, Chuck then went on to say that USA Cycling are going to be conducting research into all the crash incident forms that they have amassed over the last 10 years or so to find out if and when disc brakes have actually been the cause of injury. And so that is probably the biggest and most complete source of data on this subject that exists.
Do you know what I think, Si?
What's that?
I think that our lovely GCN viewers could really help us out on this topic.
I think you might be right.
They could let us know if they personally, or they know anyone else who's been affected or injured by a disc brake in any way whatsoever. And we're going to include cyclocross and mountain bike in this, not just road cycling. You can let us know if you do know of any incidents by leaving your comments in the section below this video, or indeed over on our Facebook page.
Yeah, spare us any really graphic imagery, and we want cold hard facts, please, not my uncle's brother's sister's mother's friend's mate.
Oh, do you know, I think I know someone that might be able to help us as well, right here. Not quite right here yet. The Don.
Donny? Hello, mate, that was pretty swift.
That's a nice shed.
It's not a shed, mate. It's got bricks. Right, have you ever seen or heard of a disc brake injury in mountain biking?
I've got one myself, but that was mechanical, where someone nudged me and I stuck my thumb in my disc brake. But never heard of it when riding. I'm not saying it hasn't happened, but I've never heard of it.
Right, there we go. Pretty encyclopedic source of mountain bike knowledge.
Wow, I might be wrong.
No, don't say that, mate. You're never wrong. In the meantime, it seems like the UCI are actually going to be reintroducing discs into competition following their inquiry after Paris-Roubaix. James Huang of Cycling Tips also got the scoop on a private conference call between the UCI Equipment Commission and the World Industry of Sporting Goods Association, or something along those lines. But basically, it seems like the actual design of disc brakes might be changing, with the edge becoming rounded and not flat.
Interesting. Well, unlike disc brakes themselves, this topic shows no sign of stopping. See what I did there? So what we're going to do, for this week at least, is have the last word from a certain Lance Armstrong, the controversial Lance Armstrong, who has been spotted out riding over in his hometown on a Pinarello F8 with discs.
With cycling's ultimate bad boy rides discs. It's time now for hack/bodge of the week.
Yeah, luckily there's only two of us here. We got the slash in exactly the right direction. Lee Jack sent in a few photos on Facebook of his custom-made carbon shoes, which look not dissimilar to those that we see Adam Hansen using.
Those are seriously cool.
He reckons they weigh 250 to 260 grams. He hasn't perfected them quite yet, but this is Mark 1 apparently. There'll be more better versions on the way.
Genuine hack there. Those are very cool.
Right,
next up, we have a possible genius hack from Ernest Giao, who has invented this little contraption to make wrapping your handlebars easier. Now, we would love to try that because, as you see from the photos, it looks like it works. And if it does, that could be amazing.
And the great thing is, it only needs a paper clip and an elastic band, not very expensive items.
Oh, so when you said an invention, it was just a paper clip.
Yeah, yes. Okay. Regardless, we were very impressed. Right, not sure at all about this one. From Cosmic Baby, who says, when your top tube goes missing, the handy aluminium pipe comes to the rescue.
Has your top tube ever gone missing?
No, I can't say my top tube has ever gone missing.
No.
But now if it does, I know what to do.
Well, I don't have a handy aluminium pipe either. But anyway, that is probably one of the best bodges we have ever seen, definitely. Next up, from IP Cornish, this is pretty cool. When your stem can't be slammed enough, you flip your riser bars. So that's like, you have motorbikes like that, don't you?
I think if we got the Don back in here now, he would very much frown upon that. But coming from a cross-country background, wanting to get low at the front end, we think that looks pretty cool.
Yeah, get aero on your mountain bike.
Right, finally, take a look at this. It's from Ian from MTB, who says, I don't know if I would ever trust this rack. I would definitely shell out the cash for a real rack before I risk my bikes like this. And I think I agree with you, Ian. I don't think I would put my pride and joy on that bike rack either. No,
that is an ultimate bodge.
Yeah. Free though, probably, almost. Right, if you've got anything to rival any of those hacks and bodges which we've just been through, you can let us know by using the hashtag GCNHack on various forms of social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook too. Tech of the week this week is something called an air hub, which we actually first spotted a couple of months back on Ride Magazine's website, and it is really quite interesting. It is. What is it, I hear you ask? Well, it's a front hub which provides extra resistance, up to 100 watts in fact, of extra resistance, which you can control via a free smartphone app. And it can also automatically control that resistance if you want to stick, for example, to a specific heart rate whilst you're out training. Now, why on earth would you want extra resistance? I have asked that question. Definitely something I'm asking myself, but it does kind of make sense for pro riders and very fit riders. And I am looking at you here, Si, because if you want to go out and do intervals without having to use your brakes or freewheel at any point, or if you want to train for long climbs and you don't live near any, then this could be a very useful tool indeed. Dan, I just want to say thanks very much for that compliment, but please don't get anywhere near my bikes with any kind of extra resistance, if that's all right. Well done, Si, you are bossing it today, mate. I think it's a headwind. Really going well. No sabotage, please. Now, I can actually see the point here, because pro riders do go really quite fast when doing high intensity intervals. And that's pretty dangerous out on the open road, isn't it, dealing with traffic and so forth. So it is going to allow them to train better.
A bit like, in fact, the opposite of a hidden motor, I guess.
Yeah, I guess there is that, and I guess there's also the point that you could then go and train with people that aren't as good as you and get a very good workout indeed.
Yeah.
Now, a few pros have been spotted out on the open road training on an air hub, and actually Matt Bramier, who rides for Dimension Data, tweeted about it just the other day. Now, we are hoping to get one sent over to the GCN HQ very shortly so that Si can head out and see what it's like.
You could ride with one as well, mate. Just do wheelies everywhere.
Oh yeah, true.
It's now time for cycling shorts.
British cycling didn't have the best of weeks last week, I think it's fairly safe to say. The main news revolved around the fact that Shane Sutton resigned from his post as Technical Director of British Cycling, having been accused of being both sexist and disableist. Now, those accusations came from former riders. In the first instances, that was Jess Varnish and one of Britain's most decorated Paralympic cyclists, Darren Kenny.
Now, Sutton has denied those allegations, but resigned from his post anyway, citing the need to protect the interests of the riders that are currently in their build-up for the Rio Olympics. And since those initial allegations were made, several really high-profile riders have actually come out in support of Sutton, notably Sir Chris Hoy, and then also Danny King as well. And it's not hard to see why, because the results obtained under Sutton's leadership can't be argued with. He was a supremely successful coach. But does success excuse bad behaviour? No, it definitely doesn't. And are the allegedly abrasive behaviour patterns of Sutton part of that success? No, I think probably not.
No, you're probably right there. One thing that I really hope, though, is that the independent review, which will now be starting, solves this as quickly as possible, because the last thing we want is for him to overshadow the legacy of British cycling. After all, we're now in a position where we've won 3 Tours de France, we've got multiple Olympic and World Championships medal on the track and on the road, and we've got a man and a woman as a world champion in the last 10 years.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that that success has inspired an awful lot of people to take up cycling for the first time.
Yeah, very true.
So, with the exception of the people that are directly involved with this, I think ultimately the people bearing the brunt of this, the cost, is actually going to be the cycling public, which would be a real shame.
Yeah. Right, well, hot on the heels of the Sutton saga was some news which got leaked about an adverse analytical finding for Simon Yates for terbutaline, which is a medication used to treat exercise-induced asthma.
And to delay onset of labour, don't forget.
Oh, right. Well, anyway, you can use this if you've got a therapeutic use exemption, and the problem is that he didn't have one, and his team, Orica Greenedge, were very quick to say that this was an administrative error from their doctor on their part, which wasn't Simon's fault. However, that may not help him, because as an athlete, you're 100% responsible for what goes into your body, and therefore he might still get a ban of some kind. However, at the moment, the UCI haven't suspended him, and that might be down to the debate that's going on as to whether there's any kind of performance-enhancing benefit from this substance at all, and therefore whether or not it should be on the banned list at all.
That is a messy situation, isn't it? Now, one last bit of news, actually, British cycling news, before we have to play the national anthem or something. And good news this time, because Lizzie Armistead, the World Road Race Champion, has just re-signed for Boels Dolmans right through to the end of 2018, which is very good news for the cycling public, because she's often threatened that if she were to win the gold medal at the Rio Olympics, that she would hang up her wheels.
Very hard to do that, isn't it? Tom Boonen said he was going to hang up his wheels at about 28 years of age, but it's still here.
Turns out cycling is quite fun, I guess.
Yeah, and you can earn some half-decent money from it as well. Right, underneath last week's GCN show, there were a few people commenting as to why we hadn't mentioned this next bit of news, and that is that Mick Rogers, the Australian cyclist, is going to hang up his wheels with immediate effect. Now, a few months ago, he had to stop racing, and that was because of some heart arrhythmia that he was experiencing at the time. I did catch up with him personally, actually, at Tirreno Adriatico a couple of months ago. He'd been to see a few specialists on the subject, some of whom said he's fine to race, no problem at all, and others said that it's quite dangerous if he elevates his heart beyond a certain point. So he's decided to err on the side of caution, got a family and everything as well, and hang up his wheels, as I said. But yeah, great career he's had.
That is a tough decision to make, isn't it? That's brutal. I'm sorry to see him go, actually. Now, over to Belgium, where cycling is almost a religion. Well, now, Cursus Religi have taken it to another level because they have furnished a church with all things cycling. How cool is that? Look. We've not had the opportunity to go ourselves, but those photos do look pretty darn cool.
Yeah, I bet that was well worth a visit if you're in the area. Just over the border though, Si, in Limburg in the Netherlands, they've got this amazing new bike path. Now recently we've done a video on the top 9, was it, worst bike paths in the world. But this one, when we do the best bike paths in the world, will definitely be in. Look, how cool is this?
That is like absolutely wicked.
A bike channel through the middle of a lake, almost.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I would definitely, if I was on that bike, I would ride along, dragging my fingers through the water.
Well, that's what people have done. Look at this photo.
Oh yeah, clearly that's not an original idea. No, that's super cool. Do you know why it exists? Just for the sake of it?
No, I just looked at the pictures again.
All right.
We were really quite spoilt for choice last week when it came to watching bike racing, with the tours of Yorkshire, Turkey and Romandy all going on at the same time. In fact, there are a couple of days where they were all concurrently on TV. I really didn't know where to look.
Is that where your Sunday went?
Yeah, my Sunday just disappeared without doing anything but watching bike racing.
A good Sunday. Now, the Tour of Romandy, which is a race increasingly important, it would seem, in people's Tour de France preparations, was won by Nairo Quintana. Although he was actually out-sprinted by Ilnur Zakarin on the race's Queen stage, although Zakarin was then relegated by the UCI commissaires for irregular sprinting, which is something that Dan and I would probably do on top of any mountain, even when we're trying to
weave quite a lot.
Yeah, exactly, even trying to ride in a straight line.
Hold it, keep low, keep low.
But very interestingly, it was Thibaut Pinot who won the individual time trial, and he and his team FDJ have been looking increasingly strong in that discipline this year, which bodes very well for him and the whole of France, in fact, come the summer.
Yeah, definitely. He's looking like a potential winner of the Tour de France in the next few years, as opposed to just a podium placer. Meanwhile, in Yorkshire, the crowds came out in their droves, despite what were far from ideal spectating conditions. The weather pretty bad up there.
Far from surprising conditions.
Yeah,
in the
first
UK.
two stages ended up in big bunch sprints. Dutchman Dylan Groenewegen of Lotto Jumbo NL and Danny van Poppel of Team Sky taking those first two stages respectively. But the final stage saw loads of action. Now, it was over the Yorkshire moors. It was really, really hard, which meant that with 50k's to go, we were down to about 40 riders. Ultimately, Nico Roach of Team Sky looked to be the strongest man there. But the wily old fox, Thomas Voeckler of Direct Energie, got onto his back wheel in the closing kilometres and outfoxed him at the finish. And it was a very, very popular victory indeed amongst the crowd.
Yeah, Thomas Voeckler is a deservedly popular man. Now, unfortunately though, the race on the Saturday and the women's race that preceded it didn't have any live TV coverage because there was a TV airplane that had been grounded due to a technical fault. And so unfortunately, no one really saw Kirsten Wild take that women's event in a really strong sprint actually. Lizzie Armstead did feature in a 3-rider breakaway, but they were reeled in the final kilometres. And Wild took home £15,000, which is what, 20,000 euros?
Roughly, isn't it? $22,000 roughly?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a bad amount of wedge to go home with, is it?
No.
Meanwhile, in Turkey, they didn't have quite as many good teams as they've had in recent years, but Kakarao took a 1-2 in the general classification with Jose Gonçalves and Davide Arroyo. Lotto Soudal dominated stage 3 with the crosswinds. They put 6 of their riders in the top 8 of that particular stage, with Andre Greifel taking the victory. But ominously, Mareczko and also Sasha Modolo took 2 sprint stage wins each. They'll both line up for the Giro d'Italia this coming Friday.
Yeah, it was a good weekend for Caharal all round, wasn't it? Because their young British rider, Hugh Carthy, took the Vuelta a Asturias, a race which actually wasn't on TV, which is probably just as well for our Sundays. But he took out the first stage, Hugh Carthy, and then held on for the overall.
Yeah, that was great to see. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Hugh Carthy in the World Tour next year. It's time now for Wattage Bazooka! Right, this week's Pro Wattage Bazooka goes to young Gianni Moscon of Team Sky. This lad is a beast. Not only has he been beasting it at Paris-Roubaix before coming off on a corner, he also came second overall at the Coppi of Barsley stage race, but this weekend in Yorkshire, and Sunday specifically, my goodness, the power that lad has got. He rode on the front for kilometres on end, shelling riders out the back, and he then led it out into an intermediate sprint up a hill with crucial bonus seconds. Turgi of Cofidis came round him, but then he just went round him again and won the intermediate sprint. He then later got dropped after doing his work, came back, attacked with Lars Petter Nordag, his teammate, inside the final few kilometres and finished well up there in the general classification. Guy is just incredible.
Fair play, Gianni Moscon. A well-deserved Wattage Bazooka for you. Now, how about the other Wattage Bazooka? The GCN Viewer Wattage Bazooka. Well, this week it goes to Neil Campbell, who, with the help of former record holder David Gris, has just broken the British and Commonwealth bicycle speed record with 114.92 miles per hour. Whoa. And that's 2 miles per hour quicker than the previous record holder, which was Guy Martin.
That's insane.
Yeah.
You would not catch me riding at that speed. It's just have to be a nutcase.
There's absolutely no way we'd ever see you riding at that speed, Dan. And actually, if you were riding at that speed, there's no way we could ever catch you either. Because that's quite quick.
It's because it's dangerous. I'm not saying I can't do it.
Interestingly, your car can't actually go at 114 miles per hour either, can it? As we learnt on Google, we just checked out one of your cars. So.
Dom has chosen 2 tweets of the week, and he's also thrown in a cheeky little Instagram post as well.
All right, then, first tweet comes from Phil Gaiman, who says, Google Maps bike option needs to learn who the it's dealing with. Well, yeah, that does seem to be quite a long time to do 15 miles, but you know, maybe there's some pavé in there or something.
Meanwhile, Cesare Benedetti tweeted this. Thanks Sam Bennett for the beer. I wasn't in the break today, but sometimes it's also fun to chase the break. He's a man known for getting in the breakaways, but on this occasion he worked for Sam Bennett, who did rather well in Germany at the weekend.
That is a monster beer.
Right, what's the cheeky Instagram post?
The cheeky Instagram post is from Rusty Woods, who unfortunately suffered an injury in the age best on the age. But here he is, back on his turbo trainer and with a Swiss ball as well.
That is a very upright position, isn't it?
It is a very
At
upright
least Matthew
position.
Heyman with his ladder was slightly lower down.
Turbo trainer bodges. Oh yeah, send them in next week. It's time now for comment of the week. As ever, there have been some absolute belters under our videos, so thank you very much for those. First up, we've got this one from Bastian Monk, who says, unfortunately, Matt, the Stages power meter only measures the left leg, so we'll never know if you were part of the success of Wout Poels. That is a very good point, actually, isn't it?
I'm very glad that you pointed that out, actually. You'll be able to take the mick out of Matt for a long time about that. Meanwhile, Ollie Cook, underneath your way to deal with hazardous roads, he said, the best way to avoid potholes is to avoid potholes. Yeah, thanks, Si.
Woohoo! That is a good point. When you put it like that, Ollie, we probably could have made the video a bit shorter. But finally, under the 7 things you didn't know about carbon fibre, Ben321 has said, why does Simon put on a funny voice when not wearing glasses? I don't know what you mean, Ben. Theoretically speaking.
Coming up on the channel this week, on Wednesday we show you how to read the road to make your cycling safer.
Okay, you can't be expected to read the mind of a pedestrian who might just be about to step into the middle of the road. But what you can do is try and anticipate what they're going to do by their body language. Are they looking? Are they even aware?
Whoa!
Are they more interested in what's on their phone than what's going on in the road?
And on Thursday we've got our top 10 riders to watch out for at the Giro d'Italia. Now there's going to be 5 big names, but there'll be 5 more obscure names who we think could upset the apple cart over the course of that 3 weeks. And then on Friday is episode number 11 of Ask GC Anything.
Then Saturday we will have a pro bike direct from the Giro d'Italia.
Wonder what that'll be.
Yeah, and Sunday we've got a bus tour around the Cofidis truck. And Monday we show you how to speed up your shifting.
Now, it probably hasn't escaped your attention that the first Grand Tour of the year, the Giro d'Italia, is going to start this Friday in the Netherlands.
What date is that, mate?
Friday the 5th of May. Friday the 6th of May.
The 6th of May on
6th of
Friday.
May,
Oh,
yeah.
right, okay.
Anyway, Lasty and Matt are already on the ground, shooting a load of content for you. But if you've got any more suggestions as to what you'd like us to show you over the next week or two, then leave them in the comment section down below. Oh, I've got some good news as well, Si. Got my hands on one of those Giro d'Italia t-shirts. Which, I think you'll agree, is rather smart. I can see why you liked yours so much last week, Si.
I did like mine, and then I couldn't find it.
No, strange that. Anyway, I should tell you that this is a limited edition run. So if you'd like to support GCN by buying one, you can head over to shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com, but do it quickly before they run out.
Yeah, there aren't many left. I must have done such a good job of wearing it. It's time now for Extreme Corner. Now, it's not often that cross-country mountain biking is considered extreme, but the recent round of the World Cup in Cairns, Australia, looks pretty darn extreme to Dan and I because we haven't raced cross-country for quite a long time. Check it out.
My word, cross-country's changed a bit since I used to race it, I must admit.
So that is quite extreme, isn't it? Yeah. Right, unfortunately that is the end of the GCN show, but if you want more GCN, we have more content for you, including probably essential viewing, the GCN Giro d'Italia preview show, which is just up there.
Probably. Meanwhile, just down there is the top 6 longest races in the world.
In the what?
In the world.
World?
And you might want to subscribe to the channel as well. There should be a globe here, hopefully. If you click on that, it's free.
The globe or the world?